Hello, and welcome to Make Believe Heroes, an actual play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons adventure. I'm the Dungeon Master, Paul, but today things are a little different. Today I'm only joined by one of our players.
That's right, just one.
Just Jeremy.
You poor souls.
Or as you may know him, Lauric Darkbolt, the High Elf Wizard.
Hey guys.
So we wanted to kind of put out a little special episode for you this week. Something we've been thinking about doing, and I didn't really want to interrupt the flow of our D&D episodes or put this all at the front or even at the end of them, kind of trying to figure out a way to address these things. But there's a few things we want to do, just some housekeeping things, and we figured this was the best way to take care of that with this little bonus episode. So,
yes, bonus material, because we love you.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, we've got some more things in the pipeline, bonus material coming in the future, some things that I'm sure you'll be hearing more about. Hopefully soon. Definitely, I would think, in February. If not in February, then in March. But hey, that's all in the future. For now, what we wanted to do was, first of all, just say thanks. Thanks to everyone who's listening to the show. You know, it's tough to start a new podcast. I've actually been involved in a couple of podcasts that were kind of just for fun. One, we had mild success. Another one, a friend of mine and I do occasionally on video games, and it's just for fun. We don't really worry about numbers and things like that. But with this show, it's more of a heart project, I think, for most of us. And we really want to get the word out there.
Deep soul-filled.
Oh, yeah, soul-filled project.
Yes. Long awaited for.
You know, things don't take off from the beginning to the levels you want them to be. I mean, it's obviously we're just starting out. But I have to say, I'm personally humbled by the fact that we're looking at breaking 1,000 downloads in the first month. And I didn't expect that, honestly. I really didn't. Just with the small reach that we have, you know, just with telling the people we know about the show and those people telling a few people, we've managed to get that far in the first month of the year, and it's really encouraging for what we had to look forward to.
That's amazing. You said it right when you said humbled. You know, you read the reviews or you get the couple tweets or you see Wizards of the Coast retweeted Make Believe Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. And chills go up your spine and you can feel tears in your eyes that, you know, someone's enjoying a story that we're creating. It's a semi-religious experience for me. I am blown away with the the outpouring we've seen, and I know you're gonna say thank you to some specifics,
but
for
just sure.
to the broad audience, thank you 1,000-fold. We're very blessed and amazed by your outpouring towards us. It means a lot.
Absolutely, and we're going to be gushing over stuff like that over the next half an hour. But before we do, you mentioned I want to give some specific names, some mentions, some shout-outs. And I do want to do that at this time. We've had a few people come out and give us some iTunes reviews, 5-star reviews on iTunes, very generous and very helpful to the show, and I want to just give them a quick shout-out. So a big shout-out to, and by the way, these are the nicknames that you use on iTunes. So Teabaggins46, I don't know who you are, but well done.
You're amazing. You're amazing.
Rosie Ravenclaw, thank you for the 5-star reviews. Zach Blaine, Robbie the Sheath, Hero of Time 915. I believe that's actually a guy that I know, a friend of mine. Ryan the Fletcher, Human Cleric, Shiver Me Timbers 1. Or Chris, he signed it as Chris. I believe that is, yeah, I know who it is. It's Chris from the Dungeon Master's Block. Yeah. And big shout out to all of you guys that helped us out with the show by giving us those reviews. And a big, huge personal thank you. Chris actually mentioned in his review that he had some preview episodes. So there were a number of people that we actually asked to listen to the first 4 episodes of the show to give us some feedback, you know, a couple of months before the show came out. I got them ready and mostly edited, and, you know, we distributed some copies to some friends and some colleagues and some people in the industry. Yeah. Big thanks to those people that helped us out with that, such as I mentioned Chris from the DM's Block, Mitch from the Dungeon Master's Block, Josh from Sneak Attack.
Yes.
You guys went out of your way to help us out, and we really appreciate that. And, of course, a big shout-out to all of our friends. I'm not going to go through the huge list of people that we had that helped us out. You know who you are and you're listening. We are eternally grateful for your feedback, and if we can ever repay you, just let us know how.
Absolutely.
So, what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of
here we go.
Peel back the curtain a little bit, give you some information about us, let you kind of get to know us a little bit better.
Would you say lift the wizard's robe?
Maybe.
Just
Maybe that.
He might edit that out.
No, I'm gonna leave it. So, what we're gonna be doing over the next few months, just whenever I feel like it's a good time for one, we're gonna release some of these shorter 20 to 30-minute episodes where we'll give you listeners a chance to ask each of our players some questions about themselves and about their character. So the first one we're doing, obviously, since Jeremy is here, is
Woohoo.
Jeremy, the D&D player, not Lauric. We're going to talk about Jeremy first. So the first thing I want to know, Jeremy, and I actually already know this.
Of course. I still gush about it because it's D&D.
How'd you get into D&D?
Oh, my goodness. So, well, it's a combination of things. So I had a couple friends in college life who had mentioned Dungeons & Dragons, and of course I always want to try it. Never really knew anything about it. You see references, you hear people talk about it. Never tried it. And had somebody be like, well, this is basically what it is, and you should check out this podcast. And I was like, okay. I go and I listen to, I'll just say it, it's Critical Hit.
Yeah, Critical Hit.
Steven Schleicher.
Mm-hmm.
Rodrigo Lopez, oh my gosh, what a great DM. I listened to, maybe 3 or 4 episodes and was instantly hooked in the ability to tell a story through D&D. And I instantly wanted to become a dungeon master. I wanted to tell stories, which Paul, having played in my games, knows that most of the time, whenever I dungeon master, I'm extremely roleplay heavy, and I seek character interaction above all else.
For sure.
It's just an obsession. And I was able to tell, I crafted a story, started putting it together. It was 4th edition at the time.
Yeah.
Turned into 3 years of gameplay. Wow.
I actually remember the first time we played, and I don't think that was the first time you had played. I think that you and maybe Jeffrey and some others had kind of played around one evening or a couple times before that.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember we were over at your apartment, and it was the first time we'd ever played, and we just made up these random characters. I was playing a dwarf. I don't even know what his class was. I couldn't tell you. Probably something like a fighter.
Oh, yeah, I remember that game with Shatteross.
Yes. Oh, boy. Shatteross.
Yes, Jeffrey played Shatteross, the Minotaur.
The Minotaur. That's a memorable character that we'll forget and move on from now.
Yeah.
His name was Durand, I think.
Yep, that's right.
Like Durand Shattershield, maybe?
Yeah.
And we went in that night, and I'm nerdy. I love Lord of the Rings. Jeremy loves Lord of the Rings. We're big Tolkien fans. Anything in the fantasy genre, we're excited for, hooked into. And so they're like, oh, we'll just play. It's like it's kind of like playing a board game, but you become the characters, you pretend you're those characters. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And as we got into it, I started trying to put on a terrible dwarven accent, which most of you will be familiar with at this point, my terrible accents. And, before the night was over, I was hooked for life.
Oh, yeah, I was too. I went to bed that night and dreamed about what how much fun we had in that story. And you didn't know this. I can't believe you didn't know this. No, that was my first time playing.
It was also my
first time running. Never played a game. Jumped straight into being a dungeon master. And yeah, you all woke up in a prison cell, which is a great way to start any D&D campaign. And I said, explain to me how you got there. What did you do wrong to get there? And, zaniness ensued.
For me, just like you, because we've kind of grown into D&D players together, storytelling is the most important thing when it comes to D&D. When I describe Dungeons & Dragons to someone, I describe it as, just diluting it down to a few words. It's collaborative storytelling. That's what Dungeons & Dragons is. And we just goofed off, had this fun little game where we were in the city trying to escape prison, and I made up this whole story about how I was actually a dwarven prince undercover and no one knew it. Pretty typical, pretty cliche, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And from that moment, there was an ember burning in my soul that we had to play. And I never even entertained the thought of DMing at that time. And we didn't know the rules. I don't know. I don't think we used a single handbook the whole time we played. We were just rolling dice and calling it, and it was
we basically had pre-generated characters that we said, okay, I want you to build backstories for these guys. And I had a basic chart of how 4th edition worked for difficulty classes, and I was like, okay, let's do this.
And we just went into it.
It was terrible, terribly.
But
fun.
we've grown since then. That was a blast. But we did enter into a 3.5-year campaign with Jeremy as the DM of 4th edition. It was epic. It was wonderful.
Gosh. I will always hold the claim to fame that I actually made Paul cry over a game. It did happen.
Oh, it was real, man.
It was great. We can talk more about that later.
Yeah.
When we get into DMing and that sort of thing. But
For sure.
yeah, we have been the DM for each other multiple occasions.
Yes.
It really has been an experience, and I remember specifically after that first time, we started calling it the greatest game. That nothing compared to Dungeons and Dragons.
And that's saying something because I'm a big gamer. Like Breath of the Wild came out this year or last year now.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest video game ever made. And so it's a lot for me to say the greatest game ever is Dungeons and Dragons, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And Jeremy and I see eye to eye a lot when it comes to D&D. So that kind of leads into my next question, which is why would you want to make a Dungeons and Dragons podcast?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Well, I mean, there's tons of reasons. I was always writing stories. I still have books, Paul. I have D&D campaigns written. I have actual stories written. I always wanted to tell very specific stories. And actually, the next time, whenever I run a game, I'm going to tell the story I've been working on basically my entire life. I think I got it ironed out that I'm ready to run that game or tell that story. But it's it's more than entertainment. It's ideas. It's having experiences that you can't have any other way. You know what I mean? You're not going to be I'm never going to be in a situation, please God, to where I wake up in a jail cell and I say, how did I get here? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. I'm getting to experience a different part of life.
Yes.
I'm getting to share my passion and my stories with some people that I'll never meet. You know what I mean?
I do.
The first time we started recording for a podcast or working on it, I remember one point saying, hey, we're 6 or 7 episodes into this. I want to say thank you to all the soldiers who listen to this, because I've noticed that for D&D podcasts, a lot of times it's people away from the States, or people who can't play the game, or people who are in a situation that they're looking for an escape, and it means something to me to have a connection with those people that say, hey, your story meant something to me. I found joy. I found relaxation. I found escapism. That's really what it comes to, is someone else is really going to enjoy, our laughter. Jeffrey kills me. You don't know how hard it is for me to play Lauric, as neurotic and crazy it is, and look at Jeffrey and him making faces at the fact that I'm having to act like Lauric when that is not my character in person. No. Next season, whenever you meet my new character, that's more like me in person, which is terrible. But I am not Lauric. Lauric is so hard for me to play. And, I get to try different styles of life. I get to experience life in ways that I never have before. I get to reach out and tell stories and engage with different audiences. A D&D podcast for me is, I don't know, it's channeling creative energy that I've always had.
Yes. I second all those things, and I'm sure that's a topic we'll come back around to multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
In the future. And that you kind of spun right into my third question for you, which is, what type of D&D character do you typically identify with as a player? And why did you make Lauric the way he is? He's so different from you. What type of character would you most identify with, and why would you make Lauric the way he is?
Okay. So usually the first D&D character a person makes is they say, I want to make a character like me. Which,
for sure.
It kind of makes sense. That's the first thing they say. Yeah, it's comfortable. You can figure out their motivations. You kind of know what they are. I tend to go with the rogue. I like to, combat is very important, and I love it. But I like to be the charismatic character. I like to be the sneaky character. I like to mess with my DMs and try to shake up his world.
Also, you're a kleptomaniac in real life, right?
No. No, people who know me know that Jeremy is not one to, I do talk very fast. I am high energy person, but I'm not fidgety and nervous. If anything, I'm overconfident and cocky. So whenever yes, Paul smiles and laughs because it's absolutely true.
I didn't say it.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
I said it because, our listeners, the people who know me, who listen to this podcast, are all smiling and laughing right now.
Going, yeah.
Yes, I understand that is who I am innately as a person. And when it comes to D&D, I can do things or be that, you'll meet my next character. That is my ideal D&D character. I don't want to give it away yet. But, a person who, and even whenever I play or run as a DM, I have characters, reappearing characters. I could talk about Drake. Drake shows up over and over and over, and he is such a powerful. I'm in control of the situation, regardless what's going on.
For sure.
You know, he is the one that I dare people to try to mess with my game when Drake is there, just because he's going to mess with their character stories so deeply.
He's going to be 2 steps ahead of everyone at all times.
Exactly. And that's my favorite D&D character to play. The bard, the rogue, the person who's trying to stay ahead of everyone else.
Yes.
I am not a fan of the asking permission Lauric or caring about what's happening to the other players. You know, we had yes, I mean, even Lauric being a racist, not understanding culture or just anti-gnome because he's heard that gnomes are bad and never been around them. That's not Jeremy. I'm not like that. I'm very super overly friendly with just about everyone. Lauric he's an enigma to me, and that's why I wanted to play him. He is not Jeremy.
He's not.
He's very hard to play, and a lot of times I have to choke back stuff, or sometimes I second guess even saying the things I say because, whenever he goes off for a magic item, like that's a character swap that he's like, boom, that's the thing. I'm going to be crazy and get this magic item regardless, and I'm going to be up front, and I'm going to be in people's face, and then Lauric realizes that, oh gosh, I'm not supposed to do that and freak out. Jeremy wouldn't do that. He would just keep going. But trying to play Lauric it's a challenge, and it's a lot of fun, just because I would never do that, and it's fun to try something different.
That's one of the most fun things about D&D. My first character that I ever played was a dwarf, and he was a prince, and he was noble, and he was wise.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't get to play him all that much. But when I made my second true blue D&D character, it was a wood elf, and he was a ranger, and his story became this living, breathing thing. And he was the most like me, and when I say that, I mean he was the most of how I wish I was, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense.
He was very confident, but also very noble and very moral. He was a very moral person who always tried to weigh right and wrong. Decision. And he wasn't a divine character in 4th edition, but he was a type of character. So I understand, that tendency to go toward either what you are or what you want to be with your first characters. But since then, every time I create a character for myself, I try to make them as different as I can, not just from that character, but from all the characters that I've created, which eventually they will overlap, and I understand that, but I try to challenge myself to play these characters that are unlike me, and I struggle with that. It's hard for me to play that character like you're describing, that cocky, lying, deceiving, caring not for others type character. Yep. So I completely understand and appreciate the merit.
We've been having a lot of fun with we do have a side game that's just hey, we're not going to record anything. We just want to have some fun game where Paul and Jeffrey are playing, and basically the whole premise of the game is to wreck the game.
Yes.
It's to be filthy rich rogues in a city full of thieves, and how can they mess with Jeremy's game, and how can they mess with every character that they come in contact with. And you actually do a pretty good job when it comes to trying to manipulate people to give you money, let me tell you.
Which is it's so unlike me as a person that it's almost cringy sometimes. I feel like, oh, this is so fake. But that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's when you're really getting into that character.
Yeah, which just adds to the fun.
Absolutely. So I do have a couple questions for you concerning Lauric. Now, we're not going to go too deep into this. There are a lot of things about Lauric and a lot of things about all of our characters that are going to be revealed through the play of the game. When we first started, no one knew that Lauric had this closed-minded view of the world because of his raising and because of where he's from. And that view is being forcibly opened as we travel, which you will see over the next few episodes. We've released 6 episodes of the show. We've recorded way more than that. So we already kind of know where things are going. I do want to mention Jeremy has said something about his next character. Some people might be like, oh, snap, that's a spoiler, Lauric dies. That's not what's happening. We're still recording with Lauric and Sir Vance and all these characters. There's a structure to this show that we have set up, and we're essentially doing it in seasons. We'll talk more about that later. For now, just enjoy the show that we're putting out, and we'll address all those things in due time.
Hey, Lauric rolled a natural 20 just a week ago, so don't worry. He's still alive. Still alive.
So concerning Lauric, why? This was actually a question from a listener. Why do Lauric's eyes and hair do weird things when he casts spells?
Okay. So it sometimes it depends on the spell,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it depends on Jeremy remembering that does happen every time he casts a spell.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it does every single time. So in classic Dungeons and Dragons, a wizard is connected to the weave of magic, and that weave can or cannot affect them physically whenever they're tapping into it. And so I have decided, and I'm not going to reveal all the reasons as to why it goes on, but depending on the type of magic, ice, fire, lightning, that would affect Lauric in different ways as he touched the weave. And yes, there may be some backstory to that. And yes, I know you'd love to hear Lauric's backstory right now, but this is not the forum for it. I mean, the gist of it is my hair changes, you'll get it in the backstory, and it's all about what kind of magic I'm using. It's secret. You will find out.
There was another question, and this one was actually for me about how I would have handled it if in episode 6, when Lauric cast his Wand of Wonders at the Basilisk, if it had been doubled in size. There are actually rules about that because what he did is it casted the Enlarge spell.
Yeah.
And the Enlarge spell specifically says on there that the target, if you hit a target with it and they do grow to that size, that they get advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws.
Correct.
And that their weapons get an extra 1d4 of damage. Now, that's just the vanilla rules. I probably would have messed with that a little bit because I'm evil. I probably would have given him like a +1, basically, at least, to all of his attack rolls as well. I'm not exactly sure. In that moment, I would have made a decision. He gets advantage on strength saves and strength checks, but that doesn't include attacks.
Yeah.
But I definitely would have made his attacks harder to miss when he's twice that size. So
yeah, I think advantage would probably be the same way I would have handled it.
Yeah, it would have ended poorly. Probably. It probably would have ended poorly. So that's the closest answer I can give you there. It would have been one of those things where I had to decide right in the minute, and it would have ended poorly for the players. So the last question for Lauric.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of a little funny question we had.
Oh, no.
Why doesn't Lauric get some counseling for his magic item addiction? He has a problem.
Oh, man. Yeah, I really can't wait to give you the backstory for Lauric. He does have a serious problem when it comes to magic items.
It's true.
I mean, to the detriment of the party. There was an extra episode of material that came out of the fact that Lauric has serious problems with magic items.
Yeah.
That's just not normal.
Lauric has a couple of crippling flaws.
Yes.
And hopefully he will have some, character growth over the span of the podcast that will address those things. I mean, that's what it is when you're trying to fix a character. And I say fix a character. I mean, everyone has flaws. Sir Vance has some pretty serious flaws. And
right.
We all do. They all do. And we as human beings do. So that makes sense.
It's part of D&D. That's part of what makes it fun. You have characters, you have bonds, you have flaws, you have things that they can't live without. And they're just, I mean, Alan talks about his one character that was terrified of elephants. Like, that was a thing for his character. And you have to play to that. It just makes it more fun. That's just like rolling poorly. If you roll on that one, that's awesome because it changes the story.
And, we'll probably do another episode in the future where we really break Lauric down into the minutia, especially once this arc or season is over. We'll probably take an episode and do a sort of epilogue style, not epilogue for those characters necessarily, but epilogue for the season. So before we go, just one more thing I do want to mention. We had a listener and a follower on Twitter reach out to us and say that she didn't have a question, but she was asking if we might be interested in doing an episode on the world setting on Monumi.
Cool.
The short answer is yes, I would love to do that. The long answer is
man.
There are some things that I only want to come out for the players when they see it, okay?
Ooh.
Or when they experience that. So, it would, to me, I'm not against doing that. And here's what I'm going to say straight up. If we get some feedback from you listeners, if you all contact us on Twitter or send us an email, which will be in the show notes this time. It messed up last time, but it will be this time. About, hey, we'd really like to have a world setting episode. We'd really want to hear more about Monumi. Can you do this for us? Because I know a lot of other podcasts have done that, and it is something I'd like to do. I just was nervous about doing it up front because I don't want to spoil it. To me, it's almost like if you went and read a wiki on Middle-earth before you read The Lord of the Rings.
Don't do it.
So
I would rather it not be spoiled. I would
on the
rather
one,
a character uncover it.
and I could give a general overlook of the world. There are certain things that I will not reveal, for sure, absolutely, things that are secret to even our players, for a reason. But I could absolutely do some talk about the history of Monumi, things that are general knowledge, that are character knowledge, and, the places in Monumi, the worlds, give an overlook. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, all I need you to do is let us know. If we get enough of you fans saying, hey, we really want that world setting episode, then that's something we'll do soon. And even if we don't get that outpouring right now, eventually it is something we will do. But what I would ask you to do for now is just be patient and, enjoy it as it's revealed to you through the episodes, because that's where you're going to get the real look at the world anyway.
Well, we get a couple seasons in. I think you'll be way more free to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but that's not something I'm against doing. So if you'd like to hear that and you'd love to get a world, not world building, but a world setting episode, an episode about Monumi, the history of Monumi, and what the world looks like, just let me know, and that's something that I will take into consideration. But for now, this does it for our first bonus episode. We hope that you have enjoyed this look behind the scenes. Again, huge thank you to everyone that has written us reviews, that has contacted us on Twitter, that gave us some feedback on those early episodes. Just everything that you do is a huge help, and we could not appreciate it more.
You are our lifeblood. It is your going and telling your friends to go download this podcast that is making it a success. We are very appreciative.
Absolutely.
And please keep it up. Reach out to us. We love communicating with you. Love talking and hearing what you think about the show. And I'm very excited to see where this ends up.
And if you want to help out the show, as always, if you haven't yet, you want to leave us a 5-star review, that would be fantastic. And even more than that, tell your D&D friends about our game, about our game and about our show. Tell them to check us out, because your help is really the only help we have in spreading the word. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you on Monday.
Bye, guys. Love you.